Girl, it's what I heard. Allegedly, it's just the word. Allegedly, it's on the street. Allegedly, I sing to the beat. Allegedly, lee, lee, lee. Allegedly, lee, lee, lee. Allegedly, lee, lee, lee. Allegedly. So we open with Margaret JoJo's casting story, which I am somewhat interested in. Okay, I can't freaking stand it when these heifers say, well, it wasn't my goal. I didn't want to get on the show. It just, nobody accidentally follows you around with the camera for hundreds of thousands of dollars, especially when you came on in debt. You got sued and had to sell part of your property for hundreds of thousands of dollars. Keep it plausible. Come up with a plausible lie. Don't fade your parks it. Oh, her and Joe were going to do her own show, Pigtails and Power Tools. But it failed because you're only interesting on an ensemble cast and you could not hold your own in entertainment. Go with the facts. But you gotta lean on your mama too much for it to be your own show. God, Margaret, Teresa went to jail. She went to prison. Teresa went to prison. She didn't go away. Away is not a place. She went away to prison, not away in a manger. Prison. For felony fraud. I mean, it was just a few years ago. Pepperidge Farm remembers. And so does the court of law. So now she admits when they came back the second time, her bank accounts had just been frozen for her lawsuit, which was basically intellectual property theft. So Marge apparently got it real fast and didn't have to jump through all the hoops. But remember, Carlos, they were desperate because Teresa had left. So when you're in a pinch, you just do what's necessary, like take back Sheree Whitfield. I feel like casting has just gotten lazy. Okay, he asked her if she was a fan of the show before she got on it, and she said, well, I watched seasons 1 through half of 3, but we more watched New York. That's plausible. Half these girls want to say, I never watched it. I didn't even know what it was. So she came on the show because she was broke, just like everybody the hell else. We get into how she feels about Hefayel, the hair puller, Hefayel. So she said when Danielle pulled her hair, she could have snapped her neck. It was forceful. She said, I only threw the water on her because she burned up my purse and was up in my space. So Margaret really gonna say, the hair pull was too much. The water, nobody goes to the hospital for water. You're mitigating your own bad behavior because you poured water on her and you now want to tell her how mad to get. You can't do that. It's very Republican of you. And also, you pushed her husband in the pool. You could have killed or crippled him. It's very white women excusey. So she don't think Danielle should come back to the show because she's not emotionally prepared. Reality is hard. Basically, she too cuckoo. And the only reason you forgave Teresa for plotting with Danielle is because Teresa ain't going nowhere and you needed the check. That's where you found the forgiveness. So Margaret said the show works because it's actual family drama that deals with each other in the off season, which I'll give her because Salt Lake does not give us that. So apparently, some heifer tried to befriend Margaret to get on the show. Dave Quinn was talking about it from People magazine. Oh! So Margaret says, yeah, the heifer and I were friends for a long time. She was broke out in the Hamptons in a motel, but still a motel in Montauk is nice. So she had this girl all around the housewives all this time. Tried to get her on the show, but she just didn't take. So you could hear Margaret really tried to help this heifer. So she took all the dirt she had about Margaret over to Teresa and Jennifer Aiden, who she said she hated. And I told you Teresa ain't a friend to nobody. And her unemployed husband is running a fake Instagram account, Ramona's Poop. Girl, Margaret is giving us text messages with date and time stamps. February 27th at 8:06 a.m. and 42 seconds. Oh my goodness. So Margaret texts everybody, there's a snake in the group and I hope you didn't reveal anything to this beast. Not beast. And she put this heifer on the group text so she would know everybody knew. Margret said, "Watch your ass, snake in the grass." Desperate heifers. So this heifer apparently was trying to besmirchify Margret's name so much she even reached out to Carlos Queen's DMs to tell him about her infidelity. So this heifer started all these rumors so she could get on the show. Oh God, another Teresa versus Melissa year? I'm sick of it. All this fighting over a runt. So we go on and on about Melissa versus Teresa, but honey, we don't care anymore. It's old, it's tired. I mean, just prattling on I tuned out. Best fiends. I was looking up the next podcast I'm going to review. This is why I listen, so you don't have to. So, did Melissa need to tell Teresa that she was coming on the show while they weren't speaking, or did she not owe her anything? The real issue is Teresa wants to marry her brother Joe. That's the real issue. She's upset with Melissa for stealing her sibling's schlong, her familial phallus, that DNA dick. That's why she mad. Okay, so Teresa knew she was interviewed, but didn't know she got hired. I mean, you knew they were interviewing her. You should already know production's gonna set you up. Margaret's like, it's been 10 years. Y'all have made good money together. Why are you whining? I told you why. So after another 5 minutes dedicated to Teresa and Melissa, we finally get back to Margret. I mean, if you just wanted to talk about Teresa versus Melissa, Margret didn't need to be here. She was quiet for a good 4 minutes. So do Margret and Jennifer reconcile? Jennifer always gonna start with Margret because she's afraid of Teresa. Carlos said, okay, so if the group is that divided, how will the show continue? And Margret said, well, you know, me and Teresa was able to make amends after the hair pull. So basically, for the show, you'll kiss some ass. He thinks she is a very polarizing figure and she is fantastic for the show. Really, you had to put that in. I swear, Carlos, you gonna really try to make this speech impediment happen like you're Baba Wall. Carlos, the king of impediment. Do we have big misconceptions about Margret Josephs? I think you're pretty plain. Like, you will confront a heifer if she gets out of line, but you don't necessarily, well, and you start mess. You do start mess. So I think that we know who you are. You're a messy, broke heifer who's padding her retirement on Bravo. She says she thinks people think she's tougher than she is. Well, you look like gristle. I mean, that surgery's been good to you, but you give gristle. Gizzard. Tough meat. You really got to get in there with the steak knife and hold it down. A stewed meat. She don't talk about her kids because she want to keep things private. I could see that because these heifers go low, low, low. And we end the episode with her saying she'd bring Caroline Manzo back. It was cute, but it wasn't that much about Margret Josephs. It was more about Teresa versus Melissa. I mean, the fact that Teresa's really out here begging for her brother's balls is just embarrassing. She needs help. Alleged what? Alleged who? Allegedly, allegedly. Don't blame, don't sue. Allegedly, allegedly. Allegedly.